my 2013 Audi S4 might just blow up. In the last few months, I've walked you guys through some maintenance items, including replacing the supercharger intercoolers, servicing the DSG transmission, and even doing a full carbon cleaning on the intake valve. Then, I went ahead and installed a 034 high pressure fuel pump piston to maximize fueling, and also a 034 S34 intake for some major proper supercharger noises. But I still have some concerns. And with over 133,000 miles on the dash, I'm definitely worried about a couple things. And the first one is the stock catalytic converters are definitely goners because they're probably clogged. My engine mounts are definitely goners, and my drive shaft carrier is also probably torn. Today, we're gonna tear the stock cats out, we're gonna upgrade the engine mounts, we're gonna stiffen the transmission and the drivetrain with some billet pieces, and most importantly, we're finally gonna tune the car and add an additional 100 horsepower to this S4, and lastly, shoot some flames. Let's get right to it. Stop! I originally was planning to do the test pipes in my driveway, but because it's Washington and it's always raining, we're just gonna have to go inside the garage. And for those who think the SQ5 died, it is right there and it is running amazing, and we got a ton of more content coming on it, so make sure you stay tuned. We also have a top secret project in the works for the SQ5, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Let's install these test pipes. Let's start with the first modification, and that's going to be these Ken Auto Performance test pipes. They come with brand new gaskets and all the hardware that I'm going to need to install them. Pretty high quality considering the price points, and the welds on them also look great. Now, as far as I know, they're one of the thickest test pipes you can buy. They're very reliable and very stout, and they're going to do exactly what I need them to do, and that's open up the exhaust. By that, I mean they're going to fit just like the OEM catalytic converters, which we're going to remove due to the fact that these supercharged engines are notorious for clogging the cats up. I think the test pipe install has been one of the highest requested videos on my channel so far, especially when it came to this supercharged engine. So I'm going to do them in my garage on jack stands just to show you guys that it is possible. There are the OEM cats right way up there. No, this is not a BMW where they're all the way down here. Cats are way up there. That means these down pipes will need to come off. We'll have to drop the transmission as far as we can, and we got to get to those bolts way up there. You can't even see them. Lots of work needs to happen. So the X-brace comes off first, then the down pipes, and then we'll drop the transmission and go from there. No, put it back. Now, I do recommend spraying every single bolt with WD-40 or PP Blaster, whatever you like best. But now I can take the X-brace off and move on to the next step. Yep. X-brace officially off. And to take off the heat shield to give myself more space, there are two 10mm and one 13mm bolt that I had to remove. What's the point of modifying it if you're not gonna use it to its potential? Now I'm loosening bolts to the transmission mount so I can later take it off. But just as a precaution, I decided to break loose the bolts that connect the stock catalytic converter to the header. And that's mainly to make sure that I don't have any issues later on. You also lose torque because of the extension. That was either a very good sound or a very, very bad sound. I hope this turns into the easiest test pipe job I've ever done. I would say if anyone can do test pipes on a B8, 6 to 7 out of 10 mechanic. Like, that's not bad. You at least know somewhat of what you're doing if you can do test pipes, on jack stands at least. We have one. I have a snap-on one. Yeah, I know, I'm just too broke to buy a battery. Well, since I can't afford a snap-on battery, go down into the description below, buy yourself an OBD11, use code needforbuilt10. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Yeah. Yes, sir. Bro. Yeah, it works. Well, now we got both of the OT sensors disconnected, this side and also that side right there. And now we're gonna spray some PP Blaster on the OT sensors so we can take them out from the top and then put them into the test pipes. Sit like that, header, driver side, I think, or, oh, it goes one of the ways, okay? Say hello to my little friend. I want to pull the transmission mat off, and we're going to do a couple of upgrades while we're in here, and this is also going to give us more space to move the transmission
up, down, back and forth.
The transmission mount insert comes out very easily with two 10mm triple squares. Then you're able to remove the transmission mount itself that's held by four 14mm triple squares.
Look how much movement is in this mount right here.
Now I'm going to remove the transmission mount assembly, and there are four 10mm triple square bolts that are securing it.
We already have our transmission mount. Let me show you guys what we're going to be upgrading while we're in there. I wasn't planning on doing it, but since we're already taking it off, we might as well get it done now than later. What we're going to be upgrading first is this little transmission mount that sits between the transmission and the transmission mount that mounts to the chassis of the car. This OEM one is very soft, and this one's also very old. This one is way stiffer from 034, and it's going to improve our launches. But to exacerbate that improvement, we're also going to pair that up with their insert that goes in right here, just like that. And that's going to double up the stiffness that we're going to have, provide us with much crisper shifts and hopefully better 0 to 60s. To install this is very easy. This goes on the bottom, just like that. And then our transmission insert goes right like that right there. Since these are technically OEM stretch bolts, we are going to put some Loctite on them to make sure that, well, they don't fall out of the car. Like that torque spec, 3 Agadugas. It's in the instructions.
If you guys were to install any of these parts on your vehicle, make sure you refer to 034's install guides they have for every single product on their website.
And now this is going to go in the trash, and we have our upgraded transmission mount.
There are a few ways to get these OEM catalytic converters out, but because of the limited space between the transmission and the chassis, they can be a huge pain to remove. Easiest way I found to remove these was to lower the transmission as low as possible and then to saws at the back piece of the catalytic converter off. It gets rid of that awkward shape and gives you more room to pull them out.
No way, bro. Let's freaking go.
And take a look at these cats though. They've definitely been replaced. That is not bad at all. Talking about like, I don't know, 30 to 40,000 miles on them, so they've definitely been replaced.
Ow! Bro.
Just another day in the life of Need for Build.
I definitely don't recommend trusting your life with a piece of wood on a jack, but that's not the important part. Now that I had the transmission brace secured, we could put the OEM X brace back on, and now we can move on to the next item. And since we're underneath the car, we're just going to remove this OEM tunnel brace and replace it with 034's X Cleared drive shaft tunnel brace.
Versus this. Yeah. What an upgrade.
034's drive shaft tunnel brace is designed to increase clearance for aftermarket exhaust. By replacing the OEM tunnel brace, this allows for a larger diameter exhaust to be installed without causing excessive rattling and vibration, but the added bonus is the fact that it's another beautiful billet piece.
But before we get to installing these engine mounts right here, let me tell you guys a little bit about them. These are 034 street density 50 durameter rubber. Now these come in 3 different specs. Street spec, that's 50 durameter, track spec, that's 65 durameter, and then they also have billet mounts. So we decided to go with the street mounts. People ask me all the time, is the NVH just that bad? No, it really isn't. And these street density ones are more of an OEM plus solution where there's minimal to none NVH with them. And the biggest part is that they eliminate the OEM fluid that's found in the OEM mounts. Secondly, these are void free, so they're solid rubber, and they're also gonna help us increase our 0 to 60 times and hopefully cut a better quarter mile time as well. Most importantly, they come with this little resistor here that plugs into the OEM harness, and that keeps the ECU happy as well. Now you might ask me why we didn't do this earlier, and that's because I want to show you guys how you should do it if you guys are doing it on your car. But now we're going to support the engine with the support bar and then get underneath and install these new engine mounts. Let's get right into it. now that we have a lot more play, as you guys can see, we're keeping the rear subframe bolts installed, so it's easier to realign everything once we're done with this. But now we have a lot more play, and we can pry down in the subframe to pull the engine mounts out.
Where's the Milwaukee? Let's see what Milwaukee's about. All right.
What do you gotta say for yourself?
I got nothing to say about that one. Okay. Here's the bracket that holds everything. Oh, we're gonna raise that as high as we can, basically. So easy. Okay, that's maxed. All right, come on, puppy. Come on, come out. Yeah. Hey, buddy. But definitely could see the tear marks right there. And these have been replaced, but these don't look like OEM mounts. These look like cheap Chinese replicas. Look at that movement right there.
And we'll compare these mounts in a second here, but look at this. Look at this. That's not supposed to happen. Look at this. That is proper. That is proper right there. That's how solid it should be from the factory. I don't know what that is. Well, we got the Chinese mounts that got some wear. The driver's side doesn't, but the passenger side definitely has some wear on it. The interesting thing that I found is that these aren't OEM mounts. I'm pretty sure these are some cheap replacements from literally Amazon, and then the rubber itself. There's such easy movement here, and honestly, they had so much slop. So I'm really excited to get these 034 ones in. Quite more stiff, and they're gonna keep the engine in place, and to definitely eliminate all engine movement. They're gonna be a massive upgrade. These are going straight in the trash. Now that we have the subframe basically all the way up, we kept these little brackets loose, and if you guys look in right there, you can see the engine is almost aligned with the engine mount. So now what we have to do is we are gonna lower the engine down until you can align both engine mounts, and then we're gonna put the engine mount bolts back in. So technically these are stretch bolts, and since we're not gonna replace them, but torque them down to spec, we are gonna put some blue Loctite on them so they don't come out of the engine mount bracket.
Oh, holy crap. Nice.
Oh. Before we get to actually flashing an additional 100 horsepower to this Audi S4 right here, we're gonna replace one more thing to hopefully stiffen up the drivetrain, and that's gonna be this JXB drive shaft carrier. It's gonna knock off another maintenance item off the list, but also make sure that we can get some better launches. They're gonna be crisper and hopefully a lot more stiffer. Let's get right to it.
Huge shout out to my man Jay Bullington over there at JXB Performance. The main focuses of this JXB driveshaft mount are to reduce drivetrain slop and also restore and maintain driveshaft alignment. Most Audis have two-piece driveshafts, including my vehicle as well, and the stock center support bearing holds the driveshaft in place with a thin layer of rubber. While it's great for making sure there's no NVH that makes it to the cabin, it doesn't keep the bearing centered well under load, and it allows the bearing to sag and ruin the driveshaft alignment over time. This creates slop in the driveline during shifts and throttle application. Over time, the OEM bushing becomes brittle and eventually dry rots and cracks.
We need to cut it right here and then right here, basically. Okay, just to show you guys the movement. Look at the movement of that drive shaft.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane. It just wobbles around like.
This drive shaft mount will completely replace that and also install like OEM. It's going to keep the drive shaft firmly in place at all times. We're also going to utilize the track oriented bushing instead of the street one to ensure that the bearing cannot move from center.
You could cut it in two spots, but with the use of my Planet Fitness strength,
Got soft in.
hell yeah, that's off. OEM drive shaft carrier officially off. Separate it from the actual bearing. There you go. There's that. this right here will kind of go right over just like that. It's gonna get sandwiched together by the carrier. Gotta make sure that this is facing the front. This will go on top.
It's going to maintain torque delivery and drive shaft alignment at all times, resulting in more direct driveline response under all conditions.
To show you guys a comparison difference, let's see the movement on this one.
Oh my god.
Jake's Peak Performance makes these drive shaft mounts for a lot of models, so if you guys want to check him out, go to jakespeakperformance.com.
The time has come for us to officially flash this S4 right here, and we're going to add an additional 100 horsepower just about using 034 software. And you don't need a laptop, you don't need a cable, you literally just need your phone. So we're going to plug it in. I'll show you guys how you can flash your Audi or Volkswagen using 034 software and their tuning app.
Now the 034 cable is going to plug into the OBD port, just like that. You can turn on the car. And now you just hit your 034 app that you've downloaded, I hope. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna flash the ECU. And so we're gonna scroll down and find what the file that we need. And since we have test pipes, we're gonna go for the 3.0T Supercharged Stage 1 plus test pipe file. It shows you all the benefits that you gain, including increased horsepower and torque throughout the entire power band. It's gonna improve the power delivery, acceleration, everything across the entire line. And we're gonna flash this file right here. We're not actually running E40, 104, 100 octane, or even 93. We're running 92 octane in the state of Washington. So for me, I'm gonna flash the 91 advanced launch control file. Now, my phone battery is low, and I do recommend that you guys, if you're flashing your car, you don't have it less than 50%. But we're gonna risk it. I'm gonna put my phone on charge, so we'll probably be fine. But if it dies, you're gonna break your ECU. So don't do what I do. Now that we have flashed the ECU, we're also going to flash the TCU, which is the transmission control unit. Now pairing those up will give you the advantage of having improved overall performance across the entire board by pairing them up. Now on the screen here, we have 4 different options, and we're going to go actually with the first one because I want the Climax TCU tune that they have. Yes, Climax with a K, but that will also give us advanced launch control. Now there is another file that you could run, and that's special case for drag racing only. They have it in the notes. And that really optimizes the shifts for a quarter-mile run, which I'm not gonna be really doing all the time. So I'm just gonna use the standard file for the TCU tune on stage 1. You're also able to use their app to diagnose your vehicle if you're having any issues. You can read all of your codes, simple as that, clear them on the fly. Well guys, now that we're flashed and everything is ready to go, we're gonna start the car and go on a drive. Another first gear pull. Holy crap. Okay, so basically you just need to turn off the traction control because it's gonna cut power on you. All right, ready?
Yep.
Damn. Thing pulls like a freaking freight train. Wow. Well, we've been driving it for just a few miles here to get that tune just a little bit adjusted. It doesn't really need adjusting, but just to get a feel for it and to actually be able to relay to you guys how much different it is. Now the power difference is absolutely there. Okay, we'll do more launches in just a second here and we'll do some pulls, but just to tell you guys about how much better it is. It really does feel like OEM Plus, and to me the biggest thing has always been an OEM Plus tune or an OEM Plus modification that is either fitted like OEM or that feels like OEM. And to be honest right now, oh, there's some people crossing. Oh man, 10 points each. To be honest right now, to me this feels like an OEM Plus calibration
like it should have literally come from the factory with this much horsepower, which is right around that 430 horsepower to the crank mark. I'm gonna guess right around 380 wheels, what people put down on the stage 1 tune with 034. It feels awesome when you're in drive. Comfort, your shifts are just how they're supposed to be, and I would say it even shifts a little bit more crisper. Even in drive, there's a more direct shift, and it seems like it wants to actually save gas mileage. Maybe that's just me. It keeps the RPMs low, and you know, you're just driving comfortably. But if you want to do a pull, all you need to do is put into manual mode or sport mode. So for me, I'm just going to put into manual mode because I love that. You downshift, drop it into first, turn the traction control all the way off because we absolutely can. Amazing. So much power. That 100 horsepower, guys, is absolutely noticeable across the entire thing. From the bottom of the rev range all the way to the top. You can definitely feel the horsepower. It's obviously revving out higher too. It's set to 7,200 RPM, at least for now on stage 1 tune. The supercharger actually is revving out higher as well, so you get higher boost, more airflow, right? All the goodies, and obviously it's now throwing more fuel into the combustion chamber, making more boom, making more power, baby. Really, it does feel like an OEM plus tune, and that for me is awesome. Now, what I really want to see, and I'm sure what you guys really want to see, is what it can do 0 to 60 with minimal bolt-ons. All we've done are test pipes. We changed out the engine mounts, transmission mount and insert, and also the drive shaft carrier to make sure that everything is as stiff as possible, and those are kind of maintenance items either way. So now, thanks to all of those stiffening modifications, the chassis and the drivetrain genuinely do feel a lot more stiff. There's no more crazy slop, and those engine mounts and that drive shaft carrier were absolutely goners. So replacing those helped me a ton. From stock to stage 1 on just 91 octane. This isn't even 93 or, you know, higher octane gas. I can't even imagine what E40 must feel like, but put it into sport mode. Let's see how it reacts to sport mode.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All of that power is insane. I always say this. But I really wish these Audis came with more power from the factory, because not only does it feel OEM, the power delivery has tenfold increased. Of course, not tenfold, but the extra 100 horsepower is absolutely noticeable all the way around. It is amazing. The power delivery is amazing. The supercharger feels like it actually came alive, and it's making some sauce. What does 034 like to say? It's making some aioli sauce. Amazing. I'm super impressed by this tune. Whether it's just driving it or ripping through the gears. That TCE tune doesn't disappoint either. Whether you're shifting and whether you're just driving through and you're shifting normally, or you're in sport mode, man, the shifts are not harsh, they're very stiff, and they're very direct. The transmission just feels like it has a lot more clamping force, which is basically what happens to the DSG and to the clutches. They increase the DSG clamping force to give the DSG the ability to actually be able to take all that torque and transfer it down to the ground. Amazing. Props to 034. Now, let's get some 0 to 60s and find out what we can cut, because we have a comparison that we need to do. But before we do launch it, the other cool thing about 034's TCE tune is the advanced launch control option. You're able to actually adjust your launch control RPM on the fly. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. If you already don't know, you would flip the switch forward, and that would put that at a certain RPM. So right now it's at 2,000 RPM. So if we were to two-step it, right? We might be able to shoot some flames. So if you were two-stepping it, right, that would keep it at 2,000 RPM. And to turn it up, is press up, and it goes in 100 RPM increments. So I pressed it about 8 times. So now it's at 2,800 RPM. You press it one more time. Now you're at 2,900 RPM. Press it one more time. Now you're at 3K RPM, and so forth and so on. You can go all the way up as high as you possibly can, which I think is, oh wow, you can go all, oh wow, you can go all the way to the moon at that point. I like to keep it around
2,000 to 3,000 RPM simply because I don't want to spin and I want to get a better 0 to 60. So we're gonna start at the lowest RPM here. We'll firstly launch from 1,800 RPM and then we'll move up from there. The other thing the 034 does is it keeps the fans on for you, so it cools down your car faster. And if you want to turn that off, you would flip the cruise control back and that would just simply turn the fans off for you. Let's get to some launches. All right, let's do this. Might blow my tires off. Woo! Oh my goodness. I think keeping the RPM a little bit lower helps the grip up, especially since we're on the street, even with DWS 06s on just 91 pump gas on stage 1. Wow, we did a 0 to 60 in 3.85. 3.85 full weights, not bad. All right, 2,500 RPM launch. Now that is what I'm talking about. Another 3.92. And this is the third launch back to back, so it's definitely heat soaked already. However, that just shows that the tune not just increases the power, provides some better drivability, but it also remains consistent in all of those things, no matter what. 3 launches back to back, 3.8 and 3.9s are absolutely insane. And this is still full weight, guys, man. Now, I'm sure you guys want me to install more modifications on this Audi S4. You've definitely seen that it already started heat soaking right away, basically, and the stock cooling definitely isn't enough. I got a lot of things planned for that, but you're gonna have to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, become a member of Needforbuilt using the link in the description below, and the next one's the best one. I'll see you guys soon.